Getting started in 10 minutes. Toss any links to stories into the Discord. https discord gg Benyay Tridix 8
Oh, hi, hello, how you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How is everybody today? I am doing great. It's sunny outside. It's gross. I hate it. There is all kinds of sunlight pouring into this room, and it is just awful. I'm trying to hide from it, but I got the skylights and the windows and all that fun stuff, and it is very difficult to hide from sometimes. Um, so, did anything happen? No? Yeah, maybe. Let's go to war with Iran? Yeah, that'll be fun, won't it? Now, let's cover some other hot headlines first real quick, and then we'll talk about Iran. If you have any links or uh, sources or anything like that, if you've seen a couple of cool news stories, toss them into the Discord. The link is right here. And tell us what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you think will happen. Give us your political hot takes about Iran and what's possibly going down over there, and whose fault it is. Should we blame Donald Trump? Should we blame Sleepy Joe Biden? Should we blame Barack Hussein Obama? Possibly, uh, but you know who I want to blame. Uh, but we'll find out. We'll take a look at some stuff and we'll have an idea. So if you're here, if you're paying attention, click the YouTube buttons, click the like buttons, click the subscribe buttons, click the follower buttons, all that fun stuff. So let's get started with the first headline of the day. I will click the button. I know you're here. Yep, this button. Then game capture off and window capture on. Let me maximize this. Go here.
My fallback is LA's Bill Clinton.
We should blame Bill Clinton. Okay, good call. That's a possibility as well. We could do that. Not a bad idea. I do blame Reagan for a few things. So we can go backwards if we want to. Uh, Bad news. The Supreme Court may throw out hundreds of Jan 6 convictions. The case would also erase one of the biggest charges former President Donald Trump now faces. So, as usual, the conservatives bend the rules, bend the law, break the definitions of words to get what they want. Here's how they're going to do it this time. Joseph Fisher allegedly entered the U.S. Capitol along with more than 2,000 others in an effort to stop the counting of the electoral votes that was already underway. Fisher wasn't there in his official capacity as a police officer. No, he was there as a terrorist with the North Cornwall Township Police Department in Pennsylvania. He was there to protect messages he sent that were later cited in a filing by the Department of Justice lawyers. Take Democratic Congress to the gallows. He texted his friend, said he was going to take Democratic Congress to the gallows. That's where you hang people. He's sending his friends, he's talking to his friends about how he's going to hang the elected representatives of the United States government because he lost an election that he feels like he shouldn't have lost. There's no evidence uh, proving that Donald Trump won. It's only feelings that this guy has. So his feelings are leading him to violently overthrow the United States government. He is literally a terrorist. The actual definition, not the fake one that they use to spy on you. Uh, Another quote from him: "Can't vote if they can't breathe." Lol. That's very lol. I'm glad he lolled out loud at that one. Fisher allegedly wrote in another text message about his plans before Jancy, before he got there, before this shit
Gallows
happened.
like the ones they build at the Capitol.
Yeah, like the one they built there. Fisher pushed his way into the building with yells of "Charge! Charge!" he said. Once inside, he crashed into the line of police officers. According to the cell phone video he recorded, Fisher and at least one police officer were knocked to the ground. Police removed him 4 minutes later. Later identified by one of his coworkers, Fisher was arrested by federal officers on February 19th, 2021. He was charged with multiple felonies, but has still yet to go to trial. That's because he appealed one of the charges all the way to the Supreme Court, which will hear arguments on April 16th. So that is 3 days from now. He's going to be at the Supreme Court arguing the most technical of technicalities. Wait till you find out. It's amazing what he's arguing. He's arguing about the word a single specific word, otherwise. Just that. Otherwise. His entire case rests on exactly that word and its position within the law. And because conservatives have no values and don't care about what happens, they will gladly and willingly change the definition of that word and how it's used in this particular case to get him off. Because that's what they will do. That's what they want to do. That's what they will always do. Because conservatives don't care about what's right. They don't care about what's lawful. They don't care about what's correct. The law is only to protect the in-group, which this guy is definitely a part of, and harm the out-group. But this law, if they let it stand, will harm somebody on the in-group. So they have to change the definition of the law. This is what they do every single time. The law reads, whoever corruptly alters, destroys, mutilates, or conceals a record, document, or other object, or attempts to do so with the intent to impair the object's integrity or availability for use in an official proceeding, or otherwise, there it is, obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding, or attempts to do so. So, to the normal human brain, this is what he did. He obstructed, influenced, or impeded the official proceeding, that being the counting of the electoral votes. He did that. But this is what he did, and it says you can't do that. But his cockamamie bullshit conservative protect the in-group lawyer and judges have suggested that the word otherwise means that you have to do this to a record. They have to connect the two. And if you influence, impede an official proceeding, but it doesn't have anything to do with a record or document, then you're off scot-free, not a crime, you get to do whatever the hell you want. They won't use this if it came to BLM protesters or any other civil rights type protest. No, 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 no. That you get the book thrown at you. Then you're outside the group. Remember, you're outside. You're an outsider, so the law harms you. But Nichols here is an insider. He is one of the people we like, so they put him in a bubble that's protected by the law. This is the way it will always be. It's as long as we allow conservative types and Republicans to be involved with the law. They will always create it. You're listening on YouTube. Thanks for coming in, Jules. Appreciate it. The Supreme Court, in about 3 days, is going to argue over the word otherwise. Now, otherwise actually does have like a definition within law books and stuff like that, because I was reading about that too. It does have a meaning, and it is used in certain situations. They're going to change what that is to get what they want, because they don't care.
I mean, it's his lawyer's job to protect their client. Whether or not that defense will hold up, we'll see.
Well, why did it hold up in so many cases, so many courts? Why does it keep going up and up and up and up? It should have been stopped already. They should have said, no, that's nonsense. Get out. No, you can't go to the Supreme Court. They're pushing to go to that Supreme Court intentionally because they know that the people on the Supreme Court, and I'm
Because
absolutely
lower
coming
courts
out.
are trash.
Well, lowest court's trash. Well, the highest court is also trash. Boss, that's the point I'm about to get to. The lower courts are trash. The medium courts are trash. The higher court are trash. Why are they trash?
Capo G42 by design.
By design, by Republican design. Damn right. The Republicans have turned those lower courts into trash. They've turned the medium courts into trash. They've turned the higher courts into trash. And they've turned the highest court into trash. That is Republicanism on purpose, turning those things into trash so that they can have the system that they want. People inside the bubble get protected by the law. People outside the bubble get harmed by the law. That's the plan. That is the entire way they want the system to work. Donald Trump is inside the bubble. This Nichols guy is inside the bubble. Straight white Republicans are inside the bubble. Anybody who's not a straight white Republican is outside the bubble and gets harmed. That's the entire plan. That is their entire build-up. That is why the Federalist Society exists. That's why they do the things that they do. That is why I continue to say that they aren't interested in law or order. They're not law. They're not order. They want what they want.
I disagree. State courts are equally trash. Even state Supreme Courts have some of the most garbage legal theories I've seen, regardless of party.
Is there a reason for that? When I get upset about it, it's generally because the Republicans are breaking the law, breaking the rules, and they're building this bubble and harming the people outside the bubble. That's the way that I see it. That's the things that keep getting popping out in the headlines. Hey, the rules all changed, and it's to benefit the Republican types. The rules changed, and it's to help the people who
The
broke the
reason
law.
is being a lawyer judge is hard.
I agree that it's hard, and I want them to do a good job. I want them to be facing these moral difficult decisions and making correct judgments based on the law. What I don't want them to do is redefine the word otherwise. That's what they're doing here. They're redefining the word otherwise, not to get a better understanding of the law. They're not doing that to properly put the law in place so that we can all have a better system for everyone. They're doing it to help conservatives. It's why they're doing it. It's the purpose of these people right now. These conservative lawyers, these conservative judges, these conservative people need to be protected, and we have to do something to protect them. Man, he is clearly a criminal. He is clearly a terrorist. He is more than willing to use violence to get his political ends, and we shouldn't allow it. It shouldn't be okay. But what's going to happen is he's going to get off. Then hundreds and thousands more of them are going to get off. And then Donald Trump's going to say, hey, look, see, they were hostages. And then the people are going to do it again. And they're going to harm our country. What good is the law if conservatives keep breaking it to benefit themselves? What good is it? Why have this giant, complicated uh, system if Republicans just get to do what they want anyway? It's kind of a downer. um, so I think that might be our theme for today. Lots of downers because it's not going to get much better. Well, okay, we can mix it up a little bit. I do have one nice thing, but again, uh, it's politics. It's almost always downers. If you got any links to stories, if you got links to stuff like
If
that.
Iran gets dragged into this, it's only Israel to blame. Iran said there would be retaliation for the attack by Israel. Just half they took a cargo ship and dropped bombs.
I know, Telferi, we're going to get to that here in just a minute. We're going to go through some of the other local politics headlines, and then we are going to talk to that about that because shit's about to get real. It's about to get bad. Uh, not my law, says Sewells. Yeah, you're right. Uh, KBP's in YouTube chat. KBP's in YouTube chat. The saddest of all the chats. Uh, it's the slowest. It's also the cheesiest. So have fun there. All right, what is the next headline today? What do we got? We got okay. So I got one more about the Jan 6. Let's see if there's anything interesting on this one. Come on, computer. The Jan 6 case is pulling the conservative Supreme Court in two different directions. 1 in 4 Jan 6 defendants charged with an Enron era statute. Defendants say ill-fitting law unfair as applied to riot. The U.S. Supreme Court gets its first look at the legal implications of Jan 6. An issue, those urging the justices to rein in the prosecutorial power say that the Justice Department dusted off an ill-fitting statute in order to concoct charges against defendants. That include former President Donald Trump, who's charged with election interference. So if they're using bad law, that's a thing that ought to be argued, not the definition of otherwise. The argument that in the case brought by former Boston Police Joseph Fisher, who breached the Capitol, could resonate with a conservative-led court that's been skeptical about Justice Department overreach in the white-collar cases. At the same time, with a statute targeting obstruction of an official proceeding is raised, could make it hard for conservative justice to discount altogether. Right. So you have to disregard the word otherwise to
The
ignore
reason
the
otherwise matters
targeting.
is because it determines if this law is relevant or not.
Well, it's blatantly relevant. You have to bend your brain over backward and sideways to make the word otherwise the way that those conservatives are doing it. You really do. It seems pretty straightforward. And and that's what I'm accusing them of. I'm accusing them of finding one tiny little way that they can, in
Read
fact.
the rest of that section of law and tell me it's relevant.
I closed the link, but the one that I saw, dang. Okay, let me find my history. Oh, geez. What I'm, the rest of that
18
law?
U.S. Code 1512.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, I'll look it up. 18 U.S. Code 1512. All right, according to this thing, I got
I linked a copy in general also.
okay. That's probably better than what I'm looking at.
But
So I just
Google will probably find it.
it doesn't have the full thing, but we can put the full thing on the screen. There it is. Copy pasta. And there we go. Okay, good. 52, tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. Go. Okay. What? Nope. Sorry. One sec. Okay, I got it. Whoever uses physical force, threat, or physical force against a person or attempts to do so with an intent to influence, delay, or prevent a testimony of a person in an official proceeding, cause or induce any person to withhold testimony, alter, destroy, mutilate, conceal, hinder, delay. Which part are they using?
So the question is, were they tampering with witnesses, victims, informants, or the testimony thereof?
They were, uh, they were tampering with the proceeding, the government function.
Because that's the law title / purpose.
It said about government function in here somewhere. Control F for otherwise. Whoever corruptly, this guy corruptly, didn't do that, record to document, or with the intent to impair the object's integrity, availability for use in an official proceeding, otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes the official proceeding, or attempts to do so. So, obstructs, influences, or impedes an official proceeding, or attempts to do so. They are obstructing and influencing and impeding the official proceeding, which is the counting of the electoral votes. And the otherwise argument.
Yeah, the one line out of context reads to apply to them. My question is, does the context seem to apply to them?
Yes. And if it doesn't, what good is the law? We should all just abandon it. If you can't write this shit and use it to hold people accountable for the things on January fucking 6th, of all the fucking things, if this guy were doing a very tiny little thing in his taxes that was in a gray area, I wouldn't be upset about this. He literally stormed the Capitol and did a terrorism. And there's some courts that are about to throw it out. And that's not okay. If that right here isn't illegal, fuck off. There is no
Disagree.
laws.
This law seems to be about testimony. There should be another law about obstructing election proceeding.
And if there isn't, he gets off, and then we have to create a new one. I say hold him responsible for this one, then make a new one, and lower his sentence. Fine. There's not a good law. I mean, we have billions of pages of law, and we can't fucking find one that makes this motherfucker illegal right here. This shit's illegal. It just is. Fuck off. This is illegal.
If
And
there isn't a law about something, then yeah, Congress has to make laws before they convict you of them. But he's not a scary shade of brown. How could be a terrorist?
I think this law applies. It seems like it does.
I agree, it's insane if there's no law about this.
And hold him responsible. hold him in. Oh, yeah, there you go. How about? Okay, so uh,
Joking.
compromise. I know. Should say compromise. What if we hold him in uh, in
But
Gitmo?
Congress incompetence never ceases to amaze.
Right. So we'll hold him in Gitmo because we don't know what to do with any of those people either. And then when Congress creates a law that applies to him, we can say, okay, this is the law, this is the decision we made, and count it as a time served for the several years he was there. And if it's a 5-year sentence and he's only been there for 3, we put him into another kind of thing for 2. If it's a 2-year sentence and he's been there for 5, then he gets to sue them for 3 years or something like that, and then the Congress will pay him back. But anyway, the point is, this can't be allowed, and it needs to be stopped by law. Yeah, so I have a feeling that, just like Popog is talking about,
Pretty sure no ex post facto laws is kind of a big thing in the Constitution, so you can't pass it now and convict him of it.
well, I wouldn't pass it now. I would put him into a. Uh, mm, do we put him in jail for the thing that he did? Well, only if there's a law against it. So, ugh, I can't imagine that there's no fucking law against this. That shit has to be illegal. It fucking has to. He overthrew the government. Put him on fucking terrorist charges. Aren't there fucking 1,000 fucking laws about terrorism? He literally did violence for a political gain. Fucking bring him up on charges for that. But again, the the conservatives are going to break, and even then, the conservatives would do the same thing. They would bend the rules, they would bend the words, they would find another word similar to otherwise to ignore it because they don't care. They want their side to be immune from laws and the other side to be harmed by the laws. That's the entire conservative argument. That is every one of their goals. That's their aim. That's the direction they're going in all situations.
For anyone who swore an oath to the Constitution IT edition, which carries a 20-year sentence.
They get him on that one. He was a police officer. So is he breaking any rules or regulations or laws that police officers, or any breaking some sort of oath towards the Constitution? I bet he took one as a law enforcement officer. So he's probably doing that. Did he assault anybody? Did he uh, trespass? Even trespassing, I know isn't a very huge thing, but maybe trespassing during a
They're
riot.
hard-pressed to label him a domestic terrorist because that standard could held against more of their own.
I agree with you. They don't want to bring him up on those charges because they, the Republicans, would have to put all of these people up there for that. And that would be thousands of people who are, I mean, there's already hundreds in jail for doing the things, for the Jan 6 stuff. And again, this is the Republicans trying to make it okay. A bad thing happened, and they're trying to smooth it over. And they're trying to cover it up. They're trying to not cover it up, but like gloss over it, you know? They're trying to make it smooth, make it not a terrorism thing. Donald Trump said it was a bad idea when on January 7th he said it was a bad thing that should
Oh,
have
I didn't
happened.
know he's a cop. Why isn't he charged with sedition? Give that fucker the max.
Yeah, he's a Pennsylvania police officer, uh, but he was off duty at the time. Uh, and I mean I have weird thoughts about cops as well. It's the only job and it's the only, well, America doesn't have a caste system like India, but cops are kind of a caste, aren't they? They're kind of a all the time. Uh, Even when you're off duty, you're still a cop, and you still carry that badge, and you still have a gun, and you can. And honestly, you can go to the internet and find bad ones pulling people over or doing law enforcement stuff outside of their normal working hours. They do it all the time. Being a police officer is a caste within America. That's like a social strata that you belong to, you know. And they take care of they generally take care of each other. They understand each other. They speak. They communicate with each other, and they share information and stuff like that. And they help each other out. It is a caste,
Off
I
duty
really think.
doesn't change sedition. Your oath doesn't earn off when you're off the job. You still swore the oath.
I agree with you, Popak. Are we going to go over evolving U.S. relations with Asia today? If I can, if I have the time. I don't know that much about it.
Depending
So
on
we'll
the oath, it doesn't even turn off when you retire.
right. Yeah. But the, his lawyers are going to try and avoid that. The prosecution is going to possibly use that. And then what would happen in that situation is that a Republican judge would be like, well, the word otherwise, this doesn't fit because they're creating the bubble. They have to use the law to protect him as much as they can because he's on the inside. He's an in-grouper. He is white Republican police officer. The law needs to protect him as much as it can in their brains, in the Republican brain. The white Republican Trump-loving police officer needs maximum protection under the law. He needs absolute immunity from things that are
Personally, I
done.
vote for otherwise, meaning it doesn't apply, sad as that is in this case.
Okay, I mean, you'd have a different definition of the word otherwise than I would. The word otherwise in that situation doesn't mean, and it has to do
But
this
I
too.
do have to read a bit more about the passage of
Okay.
this law.
And I'm just using my stupid grug brain, um, common sense, I suppose. Uh, just the base intellect that of reading it. Here's what this means. Do I speak English? Law books are not always written in the same English and have special definitions. I recognize that. But uh, to the layman that I happen to be, it seems like it would apply. Uh, so let's take a look at that. Let's close this and go on to our next one. Hey, good news. Biden administration to give 7.4 billion in student debt for another 277,000 borrowers. That's a fuckload of money. I'm going to bring up my calculator real quick and do that math real quick because that is, come on calculator, don't do this to me. 74000000. That's 74 million. 740 million. That's 736. Yeah, 7.4 billion. And then we're going to divide that by 277000 equals 26,000 apiece. So it's on average or median, I suppose, $26,000 from each of these people. It's not that much, but it's a lot of people. Um, this is good news. This is money that the poor people, then the middle class, don't have to give to the government. If you look at it from a certain direction, it's kind of like a tax cut. This is money that the people don't have to give to the government. If a conservative did this, they'd be screaming it from the rooftops about how it's a gigantic tax cut and it's a break and all the people are benefiting from it. But because it's Democrat, they did the good
It's a
thing.
tax shift, not a cut.
Shift, yeah. Well, cut. Well, to those people, it's a cut. They don't have to pay for it. To those 277,000 people, they don't have to pay it. So this makes their lives better. This is good for them. They like that. They appreciate that. And the reason I think that the government is allowed to do so is because they paid for those people to go to college. It's a benefit for the world, for our country specifically, to have an educated populace, and so they're taking a hit. They're going out of their way to pay for these people to become educated because an educated populace is a better populace.
It adds a tax liability to everyone else.
Oh, debt. Government debt is gigantic, and it should be paid off by the rich, not the poor. The people who have a median of $26,000 worth of student debt aren't rich people. They're the poor. They're the working class. They're the bottom of the barrel. The if a if a millionaire had a $26,000 student debt, they would just pay it. Rich people don't have student debt. They don't have student debt. They already have the money to pay for it at the time, or they get let in for cheap because their parents went to the same college, or they go to Harvard, and they're a legacy admission into a very fancy school, and they get lots less debt, and or the parents pay for it, or they're already wealthy, so they can just pay immediately. They don't go into student debt. They don't go into crippling student debt, which is part of a problem. The poor people have been told that if you don't go to college, you will never get a job, so you have to go to college, and the only way to get to college is to take on this massive debt. It's insane. It's it's a mess, and the government pays for some of that. That's fine with me. I want most colleges to be nonprofit. Uh, yeah, I want the government to pay for people to go to nonprofit colleges, the same way public schools educate children for not a profit. Uh, but that's not very Republican. It's not very conservative. They do like that free market. They do love their free market, in fact. And they want everything to run for profit. They want your elementary school, second grade, to be run at a profit. One, the people have to pay to be there. Two, they got to turn a profit and then sell the stock on the fucking stock market. Honestly, I'm going a little, I'm sliding down that slippery slope, but I really do think that that's what Republicans would do with education if given free reign to do whatever they want. Is that every uh, school becomes a little company, and every little company has to turn a profit. And if you're not turning a profit, clearly you're fucking up. So they get in new management, they get in the new customers, which are students,
The
and the
total wealth of
project.
all U.S. billionaires would cover 17th of the national debt, so the rich paying off our debt isn't really an option either.
I don't want them to pay it off all at once. Also, the debt isn't a terrible nightmare thing. The debt isn't something that has to be paid off, or else we're gonna die. Tax them, use it to fund the next year's government, and the debt will always be there. Government having a debt uh, isn't a big negative in a checking account, the same way it is for you and me. When I have negative money in the bank, that's a problem. When the government has negative money in the bank, who cares? Yes, it needs to be dealt with. Yes, it needs to be properly offset, and we do need to take in money and spend money. But the purpose of the government is to spend that money. I mean, it's their point, it's their purpose, it's what they're doing. Um, that's why we have them. Uh, yes, stealing all of the billionaires' money. I don't want to steal all their money. I just want to charge them a little bit more taxes to pay for the good things that they are benefiting from. They benefit from a society. Those billionaires benefit from law enforcement. You know, they benefit from zoning laws. They benefit from their workers and having roads to work on, to go on, to get to and from their places. They benefit from not having start roving bands of starving people tearing into their compounds and devouring them whole. They benefit from that.
Oh, if their purpose is to spend money, they're doing a great job spending money on useful stuff, maybe not so much. So
the,
little Timmy, your last evaluation wasn't up to par. Your kindergarten class is being downsized to cut costs. Nothing personal, it's just revenues are down this quarter.
that's right, Shinzento. That's the I'm being slippery slopish right now. I am, I know. Saying that if Republicans get in charge of education, this is what they'll do. Kick Timmy out for uh, downsizing. But I kind of think that's the direction they would go. They they probably wouldn't kick Timmy out. Well, they might. If I remember correctly, the when I was in high school, George W. Bush was the governor of Texas, and he set up this goofy ass program where you're allowed to change schools. It was very stupid, and lots of kids were like, "Oh my God, I'm going to go change schools," but there's only one school per town, so they would have to go to a different town. Doesn't make any sense. Hey, your school's low performing. You can leave if you want.
When you were in high school, Abraham Lincoln was president.
That is also true. When I was in school, Abraham Lincoln himself came and was a substitute teacher for us. It was quite entertaining. It's a point of pride, if you ask me, that Abraham Lincoln was the substitute teacher for my geography class one time. It was. You'd be like, "Hey, geography, really?" And it'd be like, "Yeah, he just talked about borders and stuff like that. Not a big thing. Exports and imports of North Carolina wasn't all that interesting."
You were in school when Joe Biden first became a senator back in 1832.
That is true. Um, I watched uh, Carter administration, the inauguration of Calvin Coolidge. Uh, we read about it we read about it in the newspapers. You know, So Biden did a good thing, but you'll never hear about it. Anyway, sorry, I was way off subject there. Biden did a good thing. I think that's a good thing. You'll never hear about it. Nobody will talk about it. It won't be on the news. It won't be on the stuff. It won't be in. He won't mention it until maybe the presidential debates, which may not even happen. So uh, it's Dems are bad at messaging. They're bad at explaining things. Possibly because they don't want the economy to change. They are capitalists. Dems, Joe Biden included, are capitalists. They want businesses to make money and they want the economy to run the way they want it to. But doing democratic things, doing left leaning things, makes the economy sad. So Joe Biden wants these left leaning things to happen. He wants the progressive answers to come about, but he doesn't want the economy to be sad. So he has a difficult road to walk. He has to do the things, not talk about the things. And then when he needs the people to vote for him, he needs to remind them of the things. It's a very complicated dance. If a hugely rich person were to pay off 20%, 25% of the national debt, it would potentially shaft another smaller country into having diplomatic leverage over us by taking a portion of our debt. Yeah, governmental countrywide debt is a complicated thing that I barely understand, and it has its own rules and laws and stuff like that. In exchange for our protection, leading that country to ally with other countries that aren't aligned to the U.S. Yeah, government debts and stuff like that are very complicated, and they roll into uh, global politics, which is incredibly complicated by itself. We'll talk about some of that here in just a minute when we look at Israel and Iran. So let's get through the rest of these politic things. Um, let's see. Conservatives clash with Trump on leaving abortion up to voters. So Mr. Trump, on our last stream, I talked about wants all abortion decisions to be made by the state. I think that's stupid. Abortion choice is a right, and you shouldn't leave individual rights up to a vote during the popular vote. That's insane. If there was a time before 1920 that women were not
On cheer
allowed
up
to vote.
economy, just think of all the people you still have left to fuck over.
Well, there'll be fewer of them if the leftist is in charge, Shinzendo.
Oh, we're gonna talk about debt and money when we talk about Israel.
Oh yeah, I think yeah, you got me now, Popog. Uh, you found me out as one side or the other. I don't know which one you're insinuating that I am, but I'm apparently the I'm Schrodinger's Semite. Uh, Schrodinger's anti-Semite. That doesn't make any sense.
Both sides.
Both sides, yeah, exactly. Uh, sounds sounds pretty sussy if you
At
ask me.
once.
It sound exactly. So yeah, I'm so I got dual loyalty. Oh God. Uh, anyway, what are we talking about? Individual rights. In 1920, if we put up in 1919, had we put up for a vote on whether or not state by state women were allowed
Check
to
out
vote,
Waldo's videos https www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
if we had in 1919 put up state by state a vote on whether or not women were allowed to vote, they would have lost. Plain and simple. It would have been voted no. And the women aren't allowed to vote. So
I
how
mean,
could
we
they
did
vote?
put it up for a vote, didn't we?
Um, I don't think that's how it went down. I think it was a court decision, wasn't it? They demanded the right, and then a few places tried to put it up for a vote. I would have to search more about suffrage, and I don't know. I
We
thought it
also
was a
put
court
up
thing.
alcohol for a vote.
Right, and that's a dumbass idea. You see, that's a bad idea. Individual rights shouldn't be determined by a popular vote because they would lose. So, if your state puts up a vote on whether or not women can vote,
But the 19th Amendment was voted on.
mm, the 19th Amendment was voted on. And again, I think that would be a bad plan. If that's the way it is, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Entirely possible. Let's stop talking about history, what I don't know, and talk specifically about this guy and this thing. You're right. I'm going to look into the history of it. I thought that it was decided by cases, but the 19th Amendment, I will look it up and find out if it was voted on. Um, I don't think it should be, honestly, if you shouldn't vote for individual rights. because then you would just lead to a tyranny of the majority. The people saying no, that minority cannot have these human rights. That's insane. That can't function. And 50 different states having 50 different choices on whether or not that minority gets the right is also insane.
I personally do vote for individual rights.
Well, we vote for the person who represents us and puts judges in place for holding
Even
those
if you vote
individual
against
rights.
them, Waldo.
I'm not voting against them. I'm suggesting that you shouldn't put them up for a vote. Whether or not someone has the right to do a thing shouldn't be put up to a popular vote. It should be a legislative issue with a judicial issue and pushed by the people and their representatives. But not, and you can vote for the person who's going to represent you properly, and you can vote for the judges sometimes, and you can vote for the legislature who's going to take care of those things for you, yes. But whether or not they get to do the thing, the individual specific right, shouldn't be up to a popular vote. Because then you get people voting, you get the majority voting against the rights of the minority, and that doesn't make any sense. That's not a good plan. That doesn't work very well. Because they'll just vote for whatever benefits them the most. And a minority having more rights does not benefit the majority, usually. And this is what you get. You get things like this. Former President Donald Trump is calling for abortion access to be left to the people of each state. The Republican candidates up and down the ballot are falling in line, but that stance
The
is in direct
19th Amendment
conflict.
should NT have even been voted on, Waldo.
It shouldn't have been voted on. It should have been passed by the legislature. It should exist, and it should have been passed by the legislature. But it should not have been up for a state-by-state individual vote, where individual voters vote yes or no on it. No. Their array of tactics include several bills and ballot measures that would raise the signature gathering to vote threshold for changing state constitutions, lawsuits to block their initiatives, bureaucratic maneuvers to insert anti-abortion language into the proposals, and street-level confrontations to dissuade voters from signing petitions to put abortion on the ballot. So the hard right fans of abortion are the hard right activists against abortion have been doing these things to keep it off of the ballot because they know they'll lose. Uh, so they don't want votes. The near-term ultimatum, the near-term utilitarian means to an end, political expediency type of stance that many Republican parties have taken marginalizes the unborn and undermines the cause of justice, says Jesse Sutherland, the federal policy director for Americans United for Life. We don't get to choose who lives and dies. Human rights for women and the unborn shouldn't be up for a vote. So this guy and me are agreeing with each other for a different reason. He's saying that you can't vote for murder, and I'm saying you can't vote for human rights. Horseshoe theory, sort of. He's slightly agreeing with me, but we're both political activists, right? So uh, it is a complicated, weird issue where we're agreeing with each other for different issues, for different reasons. Abortion right measures have won overwhelmingly every time they have been on the ballot. Since Dobbs' decision in 2022, fueling calls for the right to take the matter of the voters' hands and exacerbating tensions between Trump and the movement that helped carry him in the White House 2016. This is what I talk about when I'm saying that they don't give a shit about states' rights. This guy, Jesse Sutherland, does not give a fuck about states' rights. He will use states' rights to get what he wants. If states' rights do not give him what he wants, he will use something else. If that's federal oversight, then he will use federal oversight. If he needs uh, overwhelming political will, then that's what he'll use. If he needs violence, he'll probably use violence once he runs out of other legal options to get what he wants. And
I
that's
mean, isn't that the same as you just for the left?
um, slightly. I'd really, really, really like to avoid violence, but if they're taking away your rights, then that is the last option. This guy is taking away rights. He's the opposite. What is the difference? The difference would be I want the people to have the rights. He wants them to not have those rights because he thinks that it's wrong. He thinks the wrongs. He wants to do
You
human
don't care
wrongs.
about states' rights, but if it let you restrict guns, you'd take up that argument, no.
No. Um, I don't want. I'm okay with states' rights on certain situations, but having 50 different. It depends on what the issue is and whether or not it is a right. The Second Amendment is incredibly complicated because you have guns in cities that ought to be in downtown Chicago. There should be a different law than in the wilderness of Montana. There should be different gun laws for those two places. There really should. And that's okay with me. And I'm okay with a state setting laws or setting boundaries and setting zones and things like that on what guns are allowed where and when. I'm okay with that. If But the issue is that the people move around and break those laws, and I don't mind that being a state issue. I'm okay with that. Uh, will I fight the federal government to protect that state right? Not really. I don't think that there's no federal government coming in as much as they'll tell you that they are on the internet. The federal government isn't kicking down doors and stealing guns. They're not. They never have. If anybody's going to kick down your door and steal your guns, it's the local police. They're not federal. So states should have the right to set those laws. That's fine. I respect some states' rights, but not when it comes to human rights. I don't want the state of Alabama to say that you're not allowed to have abortions. That's insane. The abortion is a human right that should apply to all humans equally and not be up for debate in a zone that we've drawn and call Arizona. That's crazy. Um, the overuse of that will lead to uh, tribalism and wild ass situations where there's a weird little law in Delaware and then there's a weird little law in Rhode Island and it'll cause them conflict because people will go back and forth between them. And it creates black markets, it creates tribalism, it creates conflict with the people at that border. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it is a bad way to run a united country. That's all. And we can debate which ones need states' rights and which ones don't. I'm okay with that. And the conservatives are telling me now, and that abortion ought to be up for states' right, state by state, and I'm telling them no, it shouldn't.
Isn't he right to keep and bear arms a human right in addition to being a bear right?
It is a lot of rights. Is it a human right? I'm okay with it. I'm begrudgingly okay with it. I think a lot of bad people use that freedom poorly, but that's true of all freedoms. Um, the freedom to reassign your gender would be used poorly and badly and maliciously by bad people, sure, but that's the truth of all freedoms. Uh, can we register some things? Sure. I'm okay with hell. Even a state registry of firearms and stuff like that would be fine with me. Um, but imagine that if California came out with like a 100% gun registry, and they push that as the state of California, the every gun has to have an owner. It has to be tracked through this web portal, and if you want to transfer it from one person to another, you have to go into the web portal and transfer it. There are a lot of people who would scream bloody murder about that. They would talk about how it's a uh, infringement on the right, but and they would abandon states' rights to crush it. You know what I mean? Funny how the right holds on to the fear of a fascist government taking their guns, but they aren't worried about the electing a person adorned with fascist red flags. Yeah, I know. No, to the very dumb Trump voter, uh, Biden is the leftist, communist, fascist. You know, and he's none of those things. So they've been tricked, they've been duped, they've been fooled, they've been bamboozled into thinking that everything they don't like is fascist. Everything they don't like is woke. Everything they don't like is fascist. And it doesn't matter what the meaning of those words is. They just that's just the things that we don't like. That's all. Uh, yeah, states' rights are a fine idea for some things, but individual human rights, I don't think they are a good idea. And I don't think should vote on whether or not people can vote. It's a bad plan. I don't think you should vote on whether or not people get the right to choose an abortion. Not a good plan. I don't think you should get the right to vote against people owning firearms. You can have some restrictions. All freedoms have some sort of restriction to them. Uh, and each state could set up some sort of restriction, but the Alabama law, or
California
the
had that for concealed carry and then they accidentally leaked the whole list, including the current addresses of a bunch of domestic violence victims, one of the group's CA grants.
concealed
Concealed.
carry, concealed carry permits too. So they had that for concealed carry, and then they accidentally leaked the whole list, including the current address of a bunch of domestic violence victims. Yeah, that's one of the downsides to having a that's a restriction on the freedom. Every freedom has to have restrictions, and this is a potential bad situation. This is a potential. It has the potential to go wrong. I agree. Uh, a giant database within the state's servers
The
could
legal term
also,
for this is a bit of a whoopsie.
yeah, and then hopefully the people in charge are held responsible and they make a better system afterward. That's the best we can do is, hey, we found a problem. Call up the lawyers and say we found a flaw, and hopefully they can make it better. Which just kind of drags us back towards the Jan 6 debate. Hopefully we see the flaws within our system and can make it better. But not if the legislature is so blatantly corrupt and obviously one-sided. And each side is one-sided, I know, but I think one side is just so much worse than the other. It really is. All right, what is next on the list? We've got. There we go, boys. All right, if you're watching, if you're paying attention, if you're in the chat, say hello. Tell us your hot take. We're about to talk about Iran. Are we going to war with Iran? Press the follow button, press the subscribe button, press the YouTube buttons, give us the thumbs up, do all the fun things, hop into chat and give us your hot take. And let's get going. What is next? It is dun dun dun. Are we going to war with Iran? All right,
We're
boys, let's
already at war with
know.
Iran.
We're already at war with Iran? Okay, you think so? You think we're already at war? Um, So what have we got? Iran warns U.S. to stay out of fight with Israel or face attacks on troops. Dun dun dun. Iran sent a message to Biden administration through several Arab countries earlier this week. If the U.S. gets involved in the fighting between Israel and Iran, U.S. forces in the region will be attacked.
Pretty sure Congress has not declared war on Iran.
I think you're right, Popog. I think you got a pretty good state there, but they never declare war anymore. The U.S. and Israel are preparing for Iran to retaliate against Israel for an airstrike that killed top Iranian general in Damascus last week. The Iranian supreme leader has threatened punishment for Israel, but through private channels, Iran has signaled it would be limited.
I
Israel.
believe Iran is highly motivated to continue their involvement and support of various terrorist groups.
I agree with
I
you.
declare WAR.
He declared it, you see. I think you're right, Gonzo. Um, they are supporting those various terrorist groups because it benefits them. Now, I've got a pretty good
We
reason
just
for
provide freedom and democracy for 20 years.
the Iranian supreme leader has threatened punishment for Israel through private channels. Iran has
And then
signaled it
fail.
would be limited. Israel and the U.S. think an Iranian attack would include the launch of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and attack drones from Iran into Israeli territory. U.S. officials say that Biden administration asked Israel to notify the U.S. and for the U.S. to have a say before decisions are made about any retaliation in Israel. So we expect it to happen very soon. Israel expects Iranian attack within upcoming 48 hours, Wall Street Journal says. An individual who was briefed by an Iranian regime leadership stated no final decision has been made as attack plans have been discussed. So this was on the 12th, so that was about 24 hours ago. So it could happen this weekend. It could be happening right now. We could have been slightly better allies with Iran if Donald Trump hadn't killed the
It
Iran
could have
deal.
already happened.
Could have already happened. I could be talking to you from the past. I haven't looked at uh, the internet in the past few minutes. Maybe it's happening right now. We could have been better, closer allies with them. Not best friends, not quite as close as we are with like the UK or anything like that, but we could have been closer to them if if Donald Trump hadn't killed the Iran deal. Iran is a legitimate country. They're not some shithole like Iraq. Honestly, I'm being serious here. They have a much larger population. They have infrastructure. They have a middle class. They have natural resources. They have an army. You know, they are
We could have
much
converted
more.
to an Islamic theocracy and then been best buddies with Iran.
I don't want to do that either, but we could have been closer to them. We could have westernized them. Their middle class wants to be westernized. They do. They're itching for it. They're begging for it. They want to be westernized. The last year they were having giant riots because of the woman who got accidentally murdered by the morality police. They're not big fans of that at the moment.
Zero chance of westernizing them.
I think there is. Didn't they, Popog, didn't they have those giant riots after the woman got killed by the morality police? They don't want that to happen. They do not want the morality police. The people, the middle class, want to be westernized. The government doesn't, but governments have to be dealt with. The governments have to represent the people. If that government isn't representing the people and what they want, it could be a mess. It could get ugly and terrible. Um, Too bad people don't know the difference between nuclear power and nuclear weapons. That is a thing that uh, that happens. They're pushing for nuclear weapons. They are. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Iran wants nuclear weapons, and there's a reason they want them. That's how you get taken seriously at the UN. It is. Uh, uh, there's two classes of countries at the UN: those with nukes, those without. Those without do what the ones with the nukes say. That's all there is to it. There's a kids table and there's an adults table. And if you don't have any
At
nukes,
Sewell's nuclear weapons are what make you a nuclear power rimshot.
um, there's a kids table at the UN, and that's where all of the non-nuclear states sit. And Iran is sitting at that kids table, and they don't want to sit at the kids table anymore. They're a real country. They're important. They're big boys. They deserve to be at the adult table in their minds. That's what they're thinking. And it's the game that the UN set up. The UN unintentionally, probably not on purpose, created this two-tiered system. Those with nukes at the top and those without at the bottom. And by unintentionally creating that system, they incentivize countries to get nuclear weapons. How do you get them? Well, you have to be really good friends with somebody who has them and uh, have them give them to you for some reason, or you have to clandestinely, secretly, sneakily learn how to create them yourself and build the infrastructure for making them, which is incredibly complicated and incredibly difficult. The Because it requires such, and everybody knows what you're doing because you have to have the giant centrifuges and stuff like that. Those, we know what parts are involved. We know which parts you need to make these nuclear weapons. So when you start importing those parts, or you start buying those parts, or you start buying or hiring the professors who can do the work, it sets off
Wait,
alarms.
someone
Everybody
in
knows.
power setting up two-tiered systems that benefit themselves.
I know, right? Shocking, isn't it? Shocking. Um, so they want to be at the adults table. They know that they need nuclear weapons to get there. And we could have set out, which is what the Iran deal was. The Iran deal that Barack Hussein Obama and John Kerry and a bunch of diplomats put together was working. They put down the roadmap, and that roadmap, if they followed it and stuck to it, would eventually get them at the adults table, and then they would have gotten nuclear weapons. They would. But now, and then they would be our ally in doing so. They would have become more westernized. They would have been better on human rights. They would have been trading with us. They would have been allowing our inspectors. They would have been in our markets. They would have been buying products from us. We would be selling them things. We would become allies. We would do diplomacy with them. It would be
How would they
great.
have not been a theocracy?
They might have still been a theocracy. They might have been. Best case scenario, their people decide they don't want a theocracy anymore. Because I'm telling you, I don't think they do. The the middle class of Iran doesn't want theocracy, but they don't know how to deal with that, or they're not willing to at the moment. They might still be a theocracy at that point. But a theocracy that is doing
It turns
cost
out you can't vote against having a theocracy.
right, so the people need to take their rights. Maybe a judge can give them more rights. Best case
Because you
scenario.
can't vote in a theocracy.
Right, and so maybe they could have a judge push for their rights to vote. Maybe they could have for a legislature. Maybe they could elect people, or they could get government officials to push for that thing, so that it would benefit that government official. They could do some things short of violent overthrow. That's the last step. Hi, we would like to have some rights. Hey, Mr. Government Man, we would like to have some rights. Hey, Mr. Government Man, we demand you give us those rights, or else we're not going to elect you anymore, or else we're not going to put you in power, or we're going to throw you out and we're going to put someone else in there.
Incarcerate them.
Incarcerate them. Yeah, incarcerate those government officials who aren't giving you your rights. And then you
They're
push and push and
criminals.
push.
And violent revolutions when nukes are involved is no bueno.
The, what are they going to nuke themselves? The they hopefully this would happen before they have the nukes. We would push this stuff. The CIA would push that shit before they have nukes. Popog. And I know the CIA is not good, but hopefully they could get this shit done before they have the nukes. But now, because that deal is off, that deal is gone, that deal is done, it's dead. They're doing it anyway, and they're doing it without us over supervising them. They're
No,
doing
it's
it
not about
anyway.
them nuking themselves, it's about the risk of revolutionaries getting access to the nukes in the chaos.
And if they're Western aligned revolutionaries, that's a good thing for us. Hopefully, this could be done before they have the nukes. But now it's not going to happen before they have the nukes. There's no chance of that happening now. They are closer today to having
Where
nuclear weapons.
revolutionaries are sometimes dumb as fuck.
I know they are. I agree. It could go wrong. But going wrong in attempting to become a better democracy is a good thing. Going wrong in attempting to become a more theocratic state, which is where they're going now, is a bad thing. Because guess what? Now that that deal is gone, now that the deal is off, they are doing it anyway without us supervising them, without us overlooking them, without being our ally, which leads them to, as Kiss and Gonzo mentioned, paying all the insurgents and the terrorist groups to do things that benefit them instead of being allies with us. Is it easier to be an ally to America or pay the Houthis to do piracy? It's probably easier to be an ally with America. It's probably more beneficial to be an ally with America rather than paying Houthis to do piracy for you. Cost benefit analysis, you have to choose one. Be an ally with the West or pay Houthis to randomly snatch up boats and stuff like that.
They were doing it anyway before they failed to comply with the treaty and denied UN investigators access to the sites they were supposed to observe.
And then we can hold them responsible for
And we
that.
didn't even punish them.
We could have. We should have. If they're doing a bad job within within the roadmap we've laid out for them, we can punish them for it. We can hold them responsible. We can deny the things that we have promised them. We can deny them benefits. When your kids act silly and don't let you do the thing, you punish them. You hold back their privileges and stuff like that. But if it's just a feral child out in the wild, how are you going to hold back his privileges? That's
But
kind of
we
how we are.
didn't so.
But we didn't. Not yet. We didn't that time. Maybe we would have in the future. I'm still, even if we didn't ever, even if Barack Hussein Obama never held them responsible for the things that they promised they would do, there's still a chance that we could. When I ran a red light yesterday. That means the law doesn't, and didn't get caught. That means the law doesn't apply to anybody ever. We don't throw the entire system out because some people are breaking the law. You improve the system. You hold people accountable. You hold them responsible. You do the thing that should be done rather than killing it the way Donald Trump did. Said, oh, no, it's over. It's done. No deal. Everything's off. All the diplomacy out the window. Now they're a feral child out in the wilderness doing whatever the fuck they want. And there's nothing you can do about it. How are you going to hold them responsible? Violently. It's the only answer we have now. Donald Trump has taken diplomacy off the table, and now the only chance we have is violence. That's all there is. That's all there is war. And I think it's because Donald Trump shut the door, slammed it, locked it on diplomacy.
I have just called the police about your red light infraction. SWAT is on their way.
Excellent. You have no evidence. But that's the ridiculous point I'm trying to make. That yes, sometimes people break the law and get away with it. That doesn't mean we should abandon the law. We should just make it better. We should work towards holding people responsible. If Iran was cheating and breaking the rules of this agreement, then we hold them responsible. We tell them, hey, you didn't follow the rules. That means we're not going to do our next thing. We're not going to release this money to you. We're not going to allow you into this market. We're not going to allow you to trade with this country and that country. We're going to put the sanctions back on you. Do you want those sanctions off? Do you want your phone back, 14-year-old who said a sassy word? You have to get them to accept the idea that they need to behave a certain way. And if it's cost-benefit analysis, that it's better to be aligned with the West rather than the paying for terrorism with the Houthis and the jihadists and stuff like that, then that's what I think they'll do, hopefully. There is some argument, and I think you're making a good argument there, Pobog, that theocracies don't always act with complete and total reason. And I think you're right. There is some unreasonableness
What
to.
What constitutes a sassy word over a potty word?
The difference is that it's just it's a regular word but used in such a way. So yeah, sassy. It's not a potty word. It's a sassy word. When your mom tells you to clean your room and you'd be like, I am. You're kind of being sassy. I am is not a potty word, but so letting you know for when you raise your own kids, shoots and toe. The so what was I doing? Oh yeah, okay. So I think Donald Trump killed diplomacy. There is only one choice left, and that is war with Iran. I'm not happy about it. I rather wish we didn't have to do that. It seems like it's gonna go really, 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 really badly. If we do to Iran what we did in Iraq, it'll take 20 fucking years and nothing will happen. It will be so much worse than Iraq and Afghanistan. So much worse. Iran is more stable a country. They have infrastructure, they have a military, they have a middle class, they have a tax structure, they have all the things that a normal country has. Also, they're very mountainous and they have bunkers dug deep into these mountains. And it will be a door-to-door, if we go with the half-assed invasion that we did in Iraq, it will be a never-ending morass. It will never work. It won't work. We will fail horribly. I'm not saying that our military can't take theirs. I'm just saying that they're so dug in that we would have to absolutely obliterate everybody. I mean, the only way we would win is knock down, drag out, murder millions. That's the only way it could work. I don't want to do a knockdown, drag out, murder millions war. I don't think that's a good idea.
Criminals embedded into society dug in like a tick.
Well, it's their society. I don't think that they're criminals. They're embedded into their mountains, sure, but they're not criminals. They're doing what's best for them and their country. Again, isn't this the tribalism thing that I worried about, that I warned Thomas of? That if every little piece of geography has their own rules, regulations, and laws, this leads to conflict. Exactly. they're not criminals at the moment. I think that
Their society is criminal. They enslave their women and children. Sorry, but that's not a society that slavery.
that's slavery. Okay, yes, and I agree with you that slavery is bad and wrong, and they shouldn't treat their children and women in that way. They are, they need to be educated, westernized, and improve their society, not bombed to death.
Slavery has been the basis of most societies in human history.
And I think you got something of a good point there, Popog. The America was built by slavery, and then after slavery was over, we did use a whole lot of very almost slavery with the Chinese and to build the railroads, which connected the country. Then there's some argument to whether or not you can call it wage slavery for the poorest of us right now. The people doing the hardest work are being paid the least.
Just because history has slavery there does not determine that it is acceptable. That's irrational to think that way.
I agree with you, Gonzo. It's not acceptable. I don't want it to be acceptable. So they have to progress away from it. They need to. We
I
need.
didn't say it was acceptable, but it's clearly a society.
It's clearly a society. I agree with Popog. You can have laws about who's a slave and who's not. That's a society. It's just not a society that I want to be a part of. Or it's one that I think needs to progress towards egalitarianism. Um, Gonzo, you're right. There is a lot of problems within Iran from my point of view. From their point of view, they may not think it's a problem. They may think that women need to wear those coverings, and they may think that this hierarchy is proper and running exactly the way they want it to. But we need to educate them. We need to not draw hard borders. We need to let people come and go from that country. We need them to see that we are a better alternative. If the people of Iran see Americans as war-hungry, bomb-dropping monsters, they won't come around to our way of thinking. They'll fight us and they'll die. That doesn't sound like a good plan. If they see us as a liberating force, not force, but a liberated country who
It's
is,
clearly a criminal slave group of generational zealots that have no compunction to steal, lie, and bend the truth to retain their control over their cult. If you canel, I don't trust crimin.
if you can't tell, I don't trust criminal religion. I don't trust religions either, but you don't get rid of the head of state of Iran with a bomb. You can't get rid of the head of the Iranian state with an American bomb. Man, they'll just replace it with another one, or they'll fight to hold themselves, and the people of
You
Iran will be
replace their
unhappy with you.
idealism with a higher order ideal.
I agree.
I mean, you can, it just wouldn't do much.
It wouldn't do much, Popok. Yeah, that's the point I was trying to get at. Yeah, you're right. You can bomb them, but it won't get rid of them. You can't bomb away ideas. So, Kissing Gonzo, you're right. We need to replace that idealism with a better one, with ours, because ours is better, obviously. Uh, it's and ours also needs to improve as well. I'm all about improving ours as well. So improve our ideology by talking about what's going on in America. Hopefully, they can see that and appreciate
Rational
the freedom.
ideals based on shared human rights.
I agree. Rational ideas based on shared human rights. I love it. How do we get that into Iran? You don't get that. You don't get rational ideas based on shared human rights by bombing them. You don't. You can't. Is there a shared human rights bomb that we can drop on them? I don't think so. If there's a technology for that, maybe it's Twitter. If it weren't run by a lunatic and an idiot, so maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to instill that in their people. And I think you do that through diplomacy, through multiculturalism, through allowing them to trade with outside countries, allowing tourism, honestly, and cross-country discussion and things like that. I think you can get to those points. I think you can get. I love this sentence. I really do. Kissing Gonzo. Rational ideals based on shared human rights. Excellent sentence. Well put. We need to work towards it. I don't know how if a Republican is in charge and wants to bomb them. That was John McCain's favorite thing. Bomb, 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 Iran. That was John McCain's little song he sang.
Should irrational people receive the rewards of rational society? I suspect they should pay their debts.
To an extent, everybody is rewarded from a working society, even if you didn't help build it or are opposed to it. You can still benefit from it. Um, Irrational people would be, I would assume, the religious ones who are screaming about Allah instead of working towards a society. But if the roads work and the trains go on time and they're not being bombed, those irrational people will have trains, roads, and not bombs dropped on their heads. So they would benefit from it. Whether they appreciate it or not is a different question. Whether they appreciate it, whether they're grateful for it, whether they like it, whether they give you a big slap on the back and say, good job, buddy. Probably not. But they're still human, and we still need to take care of the believers, you know? Let me see if I've got any other stories here. It's all Iran all day long. Yeah. So, yeah,
Holding a grudge is a sickness in religions which makes them hypocrites of their own teachings.
it does. I can agree with that. Um, the a very big important part of Christianity is forgiveness and letting go of your uh, anger and stuff like that, and not holding grudges. I would agree with that. The problem I generally have with religions and religious people is that they only use it to get what they want anyway. Very similar to Republican judges. They use the laws and the rules and the words that are written in that very large book to do what they want and justify what they've done. Children are irrational people. They should benefit from rational people. Yeah, I could agree with that too. Yeah, children are very irrational. They act crazy. They do things that are bad for them. They do things that they know are going to hurt them in the long run. And we still have a nice, good system set up for them to benefit from. Hopefully, they will become less irrational as they get older. That's the hope, anyway. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave I mean, not Popa, Canooch. The Lady Canooch is still on. I'm going to start up a Steam video game called Grim Dong. It is a Korean game. Um, it's very exciting. And feel free to tell me more of your hot takes. If you're watching, press the subscribe button, press the follow button, press the thumbs up, and all that fun stuff. If you want to watch older streams and stuff like that, you can do so at the YouTube page.
YouTube. https www.youtubecom at waldovideos.
And what I do is I take all of these live streams, I edit them, I cut out all the and the blank space, and then turn it into YouTube videos. And then, so if you want a specific situation, a specific thing that we talked about or something like that, you can go to the YouTube page and watch older streams and stuff like that there. And if and then I put up shorts of the tiny little bits that I put up there. I'm up to a whopping 152 YouTube subscribers. It is very exciting, very cool. There we go with the game loading. Okay, so then we have to Alt Tab, go into OBS, press that button, turn off this one and turn on this one. We go here, go there, bam, and it should pop. Ready to go. Go. You can do it. I know you can. Go. Go. Come on. Why aren't you going? You can do it. I believe in you. Holy Jesus. Okay. It hasn't gone. Okay. Well, that's there. What about now? Did it work? No.
Do more finger flicks.
More finger flicks. I agree. The finger flicks are very important. See, now it's there. That's so strange. Okay. Anyway, the finger flicks are exactly what works. That's how it works. That's what causes technology to work. You might not know it, but finger flicks cause tech to work. Got 4 hills. Broken hills, twin balls, 4 hills. Okay. Did I hear you say that Grim Dawn is a Korean game? Are they? You're trolling me? No, this is Grim Dong. Grimbdong. Grim Dong. That's the name
I've
of this game.
always used percussive maintenance.
Let's go to the 4 hills. I think that's up. Can I go that way? Is this an elevator? What is this? It looks like it's a path, but it's not quite a path. Maybe there's an elevator someday. Let's go over that way then. Grim Dong. Oh, I forgot to bring out my boy. There we go. 4 hills. We're looking for bandit forges. Let's find some bandit forges. Whoa. Oh no. Ghosts. Zoink, Scoob. It's a ghost. Skeletons. Hooray. Always skeletons. Ooh, treasure box. What do you guys think? Are we gonna go to war with Iran? Is there gonna be any actual bombs flying? Are they gonna hit? Are they gonna hit Israeli sites? Are they just gonna hit Israeli satellites? Not out in space, but like satellites sites outside the country. Are they gonna actually send things into the country? What do you guys think? Is it just them talking shit again? Because they do talk a lot and call for things to happen and demand and make a bunch of threats. Is this just an empty threat, or do you think it's an actual threat this time? And yeah, keep the philosophy coming too. Gonzo, it was really good. I rather enjoy that kind of stuff. I am hoping that that it's just a threat. Did Israel do a bad thing? Yes, they did it because everybody's paying attention to other things, and they're feeling a little invincible with the latest wins they've been having. So they struck that Iranian general and stuff like that in the consulate, I want to say. It was a bad sign. It was a bad thing for them to do. I don't like that they did that. And I hope that they don't do it anymore. Maybe we can hold them responsible. Maybe we can tell them to stop acting poorly because they're our ally. Hopefully, maybe, they will do the thing that is good for everybody and stop bombing Iranian targets, and because they're our ally, we have some authority over them. I mean, they're getting all the weapons from us, right? So we can stop that. We can prevent that. We can tell them, hey, we're going to stop doing this if you're going to war with Iran. But Joe Biden's a little bit of a Zionist, so he's going to probably support them no matter what, which makes me sad. Ooh, star. Let's see. Oh, is this one of the things? Yeah. Bandit Forge. Kill the Bandit Forge. Die, Bandit Forge. Alright. 1 of 3. Let's go find 2 more. Oh, who's this? There you go, Frankie the Knife. I released the outlaws. Hope that I don't regret that later. They served their time. Ooh, a fighting pit. Ooh. Whoa, he hits pretty hard. And there we go, we win. Some blue legs, nice. A couple of greens.
Why was Israel strike against the Iranian generals bad?
Because it leads to it was an escalation of conflict. It leads to what we're looking at today. Them guaranteeing to strike back. And then Biden has to take a side. It's an escalation of conflict, not a de-escalation. And also they hit a consulate, which is like in somebody else's country. Not the consulate, if I understand correctly, is where the diplomats live. What's the other word? The thing where it's sovereign soil of a country in another place. There's a word there that I've just completely fucking lost.
Embassy.
Embassy. There you go. Embassy is where the diplomats work. Consulate is where the diplomats live. So they hit the place where the diplomats live. And that is a bad call. That's a bad time. Like they're killing staff and stuff like that, possibly. I don't know if they did, but there's a chance that you hit the fucking janitor that just works there, you know? And that guy just works at the consulate. He takes out the trash. He doesn't deserve to die because you want to bomb a place. It was an increase in an escalation in hostilities. And Israel right now should not be increasing their hostilities, you know? They should be... Oh, almost died. Almost died.
I mean, they bombed the consulate of a country they're at war with in another country they're at war with.
Right, and why are they at war? Can we stop that? Can we prevent that? Can we make them not at war? Is the bombing of that consulate going to end this war? No. It's only going to make it worse. And now it's going to drag America into it. I think that's why Israel felt like that they could do it, is because if things go wrong...
And it's a strike against the specific general who was guiding the strikes of another country they're at war with.
Right. And now it's going to get worse. That war has escalated. They escalated that war. Are they right to escalate that war? Well, it depends on whose side you're on, obviously.
So should Israel never bomb Lebanon because that would escalate?
Maybe. What are they bombing in Lebanon? It kind of depends on what they're bombing and the reasoning behind it.
Hezbollah missile platforms mostly.
There you go. That sounds fine to me. Bomb the Hezbollah missile platforms. I'm okay with them doing that. And I'm not okay with Iran funding Hezbollah missile platforms. Let's not let them do that. How do we stop missile platforms? Well, let Iran be.
But that escalates, so why is it okay?
No escalation is okay. I want all de-escalation. De-escalation would be us allowing Iran to be becoming diplomatic and friendly with Iran. That means they would fund fewer of those missile platforms. And if they fund fewer of those missile platforms, that gives Israel less things to bomb.
So
less
why
bombs.
is bombing missile platforms okay?
Because they are missile platforms that the Iranians are using to increase hostility with them, against Israel. Those are serious, obvious military targets. Let's de-escalate. That's what I'm saying. Become friends with Iran. Make them less likely to build those missile platforms. That gives Israel less reason to bomb those missile platforms and less reason to bomb consulates. And if you de-escalate all over the place, you have world peace all of a sudden.
But bombing the general running those missiles platforms is not okay.
He's an Iranian general, not a specific Hezbollah terrorist in the middle of nowhere. He's known by their government to be the guy in charge. He holds rank within their government. So yes, it was an escalation. Okay, but if that general were at the missile platform and he got bombed and died, that's more of a wartime kind of thing. It would be more okay in that situation, but hitting the consulate while you know he's there suggests that this isn't a safe place for them, that there's no safe place for them within their own ally country. They're way more freaked out, way more likely to retaliate and fight. So it's 100% escalatory. Are they wrong to do so? It depends on your point of view. But if my point of view and my plan is de-escalation, this ain't doing it. And that's my plan. They're not following my plan. They did not check with me before they did this, or else I would have told them not to do it.
I don't know if they're always gonna retaliate. No matter what you do, might as well get some benefits by killing their important generals before they retaliate.
That is the you're talking about what was the thing George W. Bush did with the pre-strikes? He said we had to go fight them there, so they don't. So we don't have to fight them over here. Uh, uh, Not retaliatory, but like pre-retaliatory strikes. We know they're coming for us, so we got to go over there and get them beforehand.
Preemptive.
Preemptive. That's the good word. Yeah, the preemptive strikes. So, are they doing a preemptive strike? Possibly. Do I want them doing preemptive strikes? No. I think that's a bad plan. That is an escalation tactic, not a de-escalation tactic. Here I am trying to find the word preemptive in my brain, and I'm dying. All right.
That skill's not ready.
But here they aren't even preemptive because Iran has already struck them and this specific general was involved in those attacks.
Yeah, so it's not preemptive, but it's also not de-escalatory. And it's not even entirely their fault, Israel. It's not entirely their fault for doing such a thing. It is in their best interest to do that. So what do we have to do? We have to make it so that de-escalation is in the best interest of both of them, which is entirely complicated and very difficult, not easy to do, but requires diplomacy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying it would be really difficult to convince people that peace is their best option, but we have to try. That's if you want to be the leader of the world, as America
I feel like
generally
Klingon
tends to be.
diplomacy is the most likely to succeed here.
No, I don't think it will, because it will lead to exactly where we are right now. We are in the middle of Klingon diplomacy right now, if I understand your meaning. I would assume that Klingon diplomacy is be so strong that no one can attack you without horrible losses on their side. Are these boots better than my current boots? I don't think so.
Like it's one of the things that we tend not to acknowledge when Islamic countries diplomacy each other, often that involves Vlad the Impaler-style public torture as an advertisement of we 1D.
We won. Don't do this again. Yeah, I agree. That's not good diplomacy. That's just barbarism. I don't want them to barbarize each other. That's a plan I would like to avoid, and the way to avoid that is making it so that everyone wants,
But
everyone
it seems
benefits.
to work pretty well in between them.
In between them, I don't think that works pretty well. I think it's happening, but I don't think that's working well. You know what I mean? The Middle Eastern countries spending all of their money, time, and effort just smashing the shit out of each other. I don't think that's a working system.
So if it's their cultural language of diplomacy, I obviously don't think we should directly adopt it because it would morally harm us.
Right.
But we should learn to communicate with them.
And we can, and we should, I agree. Better communication with them, I agree.
And some of that communication may be more Klingon-style diplomacy.
Well, maybe. If the only thing that they know is violence, and then we go in there asking them politely to be nice to their neighbors, they might not. We might have to impose some sort of police force. I'm accepting of that fact. Where half this game is just looking at loot. Alright, let's go back to where we were.
Now I don't believe we have the courage to ever apply such diplomacy, which is why I support the three-state solution.
Okay. For Israel, Palestine, and something in the middle? Is that what you're suggesting? I don't know what the three-state solution is.
Israel, Gaza managed by Egypt, West Bank managed by Jordan.
Kind of okay with that. That does sound fine to me. It sounds like a better plan than what we've got right now. Yeah, I'm just mulling over in my mind what would happen there. I'm okay with that. Egypt, we would have to pay Egypt to do it. I mean, it's work they're doing, right? We could probably pull something like that off if we give them some sort of benefit for allowing them to do the thing. West Bank managed by Jordan. That sounds fine to me too. They'll get some sort of
benefit. The secret sauce
benefit.
of the solution is that Egypt would brutalize and torture the shit of Gaza, but the Western media would turn a blind eye because everyone involved is brown. Check out Waldo's videos https www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
I don't know anything about the Egyptian government, and that doesn't sound like a good humanitarian solution to me, though. Well, now I'm off board. Opog, you should have told me they were going to give them all ponies and give them a good, nice place to live. But, follow me, okay.
So it would probably be worse than the current situation, but no one would complain internationally.
And also there wouldn't be any Jewish people involved. So you could complain about the job that Egypt is doing and say, hey, I think you guys are doing a really bad job here. You're harming these people. And you wouldn't be called an anti-Semite. Uh, um, well, if they're going to do such a terrible job in Egypt, I don't think I want this plan anymore. You unsold it to me, morally speaking. I was thinking that they would be given like a little bit of resources or something like that from a handful of countries nearby to take care of these people and build a thing and keep track of them and make them into citizens of their, not Egypt, but of this new third country. But if that's how it would end up, maybe
Prior to
that's...
October 7th, Egypt hated Gaza more than Israel.
And now they've changed their mind?
Well, no, Israel just hates Gaza a super lot now.
Well, they always did. Oh, okay. Egypt hated Gaza more than Israel hates Gaza. I thought you meant slightly different with your previous
Egypt
statement.
still hates Gaza just as much they did before.
Okay. I got you. I didn't even drop my health totem. Should have. Would have helped me survive.
Oh yes, sorry, that was ambiguous.
Yeah, no, it's good. I see what you're saying now. So, how do we make it better? I don't think giving them over to somebody else who will genocide them quietly would make it better. I'd like for them not to do that. Can't we pay or rally together a whole bunch of resources from several countries and give that to Egypt? Say, hey, listen, like, create another state.
But Gaza is a super terrorism cesspit, and Egypt almost lost their entire government because of Gaza terrorists and their allies.
That doesn't surprise me, but I mean, why are they...
So they're pretty mad about it.
Yeah, why are they a terrorism cesspit? Because they're in a suffering box. You know what I mean? Like, if you build the suffer box and then force a bunch of people to live in it, that they'll do terrorism. Don't build suffer boxes.
The reason they're a terrorist cesspit is a bit more political than that.
I'm sure it has
Hey.
1,000 different reasons, but the State of Israel built a suffer box. And they built the suffer box around those people. And then when those people act up, as they do from inside the suffer box, they increase the suffering. And then... oh, come on. And then...
all the Islamic countries sent all their terrorists there for one.
Well, to help with the suffer box issue, yes. To intentionally, yeah, willingly, yeah. Because that's what creates terrorism,
As a way to
is the
remove
suffer
their
box.
internal terrorism problems.
Yeah, because if you're gonna go to terrorism school, it would be in the suffer box. Dismantle the suffer box. Normal
Suffering
people.
will continue until moral improves.
That's the
and
thing.
also as
Yeah.
a way to hurt Israel, their political enemies.
Right. And why are they the political enemies of Israel? Because Israel built the suffer box. This whole suffer box thing seems to be like the root of all the problems. I think. I recognize that racism is probably the actual root of the problem, but one race building a suffer box around another different race will lead to exactly this situation.
Egypt was not the political enemies of Israel because of the suffer box.
Okay. I would accept that. There's probably a reason Egypt doesn't like them. A global political reason, I
They were
suspect.
enemies because of the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the desire to take that area for themselves.
So Egypt wanted to do a colonialism. Yeah, that's fine. They can get over that. We can deal with that. We can discuss that. They can
That's
do
the main
diplomacy about
base
that.
reason for everyone in that region.
I know, and it's blatantly, obviously, what's the word? Tribalism, which is why I'm against tribalism. Everybody love everybody. Everybody be a part of a global community. It avoids tribalism, which is why I push back on Thomas so hard on that situation, on the situation of tribalism. Yeah, if Egypt has an area that they own and operate and is considered theirs, and then political instability happens and they try to take more.
And Egypt funded the Palestinian cause by shipping terrorists there to 1. Reduce the number of terrorists in Egypt and 2. Hurt Israel, so maybe they'll be weaker for the Egyptian war to conquer.
Yeah,
The
that's a bad thing. I don't like it if Egypt does that. Let's not allow them to do that. Let's hold them responsible for that. Let's do some work to figure out why they would do that, and maybe even why there is a place for terrorists in Palestine to begin with. Why is it so easy to send terrorists there?
Oh, they stopped doing that 40 years ago.
Oh, they stopped doing it 40 years ago. Okay, then we all just need to hold hands and get along. And we need to force them to get along. It's hasn't. I recognize that some people are upset about a thing that happened 40 years ago, but we have to find a way to progress, to move on, to stop holding grudges. Let's all just be good Christians and forgive each other. Quests.
Let's take a look, shall we?
Ah, there you are. Yes, at once. Yes? Oh, good, good. Of course. Ah, I was correct. Just look at these.
Do you know what time it is? It is a Bobo time. Oh, hi, Bo. How you doing? Come say hello. Big yawn. There it is. Yeah. You're so small. Yes. So small.
Vicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm holding him too close to the camera. He's very small. There he goes. He's biting my toes. That's how he needs. He tells me he needs his head patted. Okay. You gonna go play? Okay. Go run. No? Still here? Okay. Sewell's in YouTube chat says it sounds like a Australia, but with more oversight. Oh, okay. Hmm. Yeah, okay. So what if we compare it to is Australia? Kinda. They sent all the criminals there, and then eventually it became a country. Right? That happened in Australia. Maybe it'll work for other places too. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Turn that in, across the bridge, Twin Falls. Turn to Quaid at the Rover Camp in Old Arcovia. I wonder where that's at. I guess the point I'm trying to make with the war stuff is it won't get any better if we just keep bombing each other back and forth. It just never ends. If Egypt is doing a bad thing because of shit that Israel did 40 years ago, or if Israel is doing a bad thing because of shit Egypt did 50 years ago, you have to move on. We have to get better at some point. How do we get better? How do we move forward? And I think that it's diplomacy of the free market, honestly, as stupid as that sounds. I complain about capitalism all the time, but it's liberal economies that might keep these people in line. If you go to war with something and you lose a ton of money, and your people starve, and you lose access to the stuff that you once had, maybe you won't do it. Or maybe the people will throw a fit and not allow you to do it. The people no longer give the leader of Iran the will, the political will to do so, then maybe if they take the political will from him, then maybe they would do a better job. Maybe they wouldn't do the bad things. I don't know. But that seems like it would require education, understanding, um, some westernization, some acceptance from them of our uh, society and plans and way of life. And then you get into very difficult conversations about the uh, not politics, but philosophy of who is doing what, and is one society better than another. I kind of say yes. I know it's not a very woke answer of me to say that, yeah, some societies are better than other societies, but um, I'm being a realist, not a kumbaya, everybody love everybody kind of person right there. But like some societies are just better than the other ones. Well, that's not the way to go. Let's go this way, I guess. Let's see. What else is coming up soon? I think. Ooh, I'm gonna go watch that Civil War movie, the American Civil War movie, uh, in the next, probably this next week, next couple of days. I think it came out today. It might have come out recently. If it hasn't come out yet, it'll come out soon. I'll go watch that and I'll report back to you guys. Give you the movie review and the tinfoil hat review. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do just the main review, the normal human being review, and then I'll put my hat on and tell you how it was right and it's gonna how it's predicting the future and all that fun stuff. And then, let me think. What's after that?
I think it came out for IMAX on Thursday and normal theater today.
Yeah, so I'll probably go to watch that soon.
But I don't know, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah, so I'll take a look at that and see how it goes. It could go very well, it could go very wrong, but either way, it's good content for me. Just watching the trailer was one of my highest rated or highest viewed YouTube videos, honestly. And let me see, is there anything else going on? I'm going to be out next Saturday, so a week from today I won't be able to stream, so I'll probably do a daytime stream or something like that in the meantime. I have a little bit more time. Should I stream during the day? Maybe. Like on a Tuesday afternoon or something like that. Tuesday during the day? I don't know. Maybe I'll do some more. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Oh, I could have just teleported here. Do. Okay, so yeah, Sewells, you wanted me
He'll
to...
read up on this otherwise case and give my official legal breakdown in the Discord.
Oh, good. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you're paying attention, if you're watching, hop into the Discord, tell us what you're thinking, tell us what you're feeling. Links to stories will be looked at in there. Sewells, I don't know enough about Asia, but if you give me another, I haven't watched that video you posted, but I can watch that and come up with some ideas. But if you've got anything specific, shoot me a link and I'll take a look at it. I'm okay with Japan, mostly. I mean, they seem to be our allies and they seem to be cool. So try to send stuff to you as you come across. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, hop in. Anybody who is paying attention, anybody who's watching, hop into the Discord. And you can give us all your hot takes. You can give us links to stories proving you're correct. One guy gave us a link to his, I think, personal conspiracy page that I looked at and thought it was a conspiracy page and said, oh, well, this is all the basic conspiracy stuff. And he was like, no, but it's not. I was like, yeah, it is.
One guy linked to his foot-based OnlyFans.
Yeah, foot-based OnlyFans.
That guy is me.
Yeah, it was you. It was a good time. That guy just robbed me for $300, which is like really nothing. He robbed me for 5 cents. I'm like, all right, you have 5 cents, bro. See, I'm rich, paying my fair share.
At Popo G42, that's just quality content.
Worth every penny. For the footses. This tower's all waspified. Gross. Bees.
At Shinsinto, that's high praise coming from you.
He's a connoisseur of foot OnlyFans pages. Which ones are worth it? Which ones aren't? Which ones are a waste of time? Which ones are just money grabs? Yeah. Yeah. This guy knows. He knows his feats. He knows whose grippers need to be looked at and whose don't.
I am the leading expert on the foot fetish market.
That's terrible news. Thank you. Alright, I killed a bee.
He's the chief reviewer at HobbitonGripperReviews.com.
If that's not already a site, it ought to be. Hobbiton Grippers. Oh, okay. I am hungry for lunch. So, what I'm going to do is...
Don't dox me, bro.
I'm going to let you guys fight this out.
You mean second breakfast?
Second breakfast? No, well, no, I don't eat breakfast. It's noon. 12. It's 12 o'clock. That means lunch, right? So, I am going to end this horrible nightmare of a stream. I'm just kidding. It was great. You guys were great. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the philosophical stuff like that. Popog both giving me some devil's advocate, maybe, and Gonzo for popping the philosophy in there. Always good. My name is Waldo. Gripper is my new favorite slang for feet. Yeah. uh, uh, my name has been Waldo, and it will probably be Waldo next time as well. I'll let you know. I will be back on Monday night at the normal time. Maybe I'll throw in a Tuesday or a Wednesday afternoon, maybe a Thursday or something like that stream. Depends on if I have the time and stuff like that. I will be out on Saturday, so no Saturday stream this coming week, a week from today. But maybe I'll do a Friday during the day stream. I don't know, maybe. So Wednesday, and then I can do Friday during the day. So yeah, maybe Friday morning or something like that. Start up instead of Saturday morning, possibly. That is it for me today. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Press the like button, press the subscribe button, press the follow buttons, all the thumbs ups and all those fun things. If you want to tell me what to talk about, you can do so at the Discord right there.
Discord. HTTPS Discord GG Beignet Tritix 8.
If you want to watch old streams and stuff like that, you can do so at the YouTube.
HTTPS www.youtubecom at Walda Videos.
Speaking of that, just this morning, I wake up, I look at the my YouTube page, and somebody watched a video from this past September about Vivek Ramaswamy, and then left a comment talking about how crazy Vivek is. And I was like, wow, okay, how did you get there? Like the YouTube algorithm is a crazy thing, and it generally doesn't put anything in anybody's front pages that is like older than a few days. So how did this one random person who isn't a subscriber and I've never spoken to before find my fake video from September, watch it, like it, and then put a comment? It blew my mind. I was like, that never happens. Like, once I put the videos up, nobody watches them after 2 weeks. If it hasn't been seen in 2 weeks, it's not gonna be seen. It's a very weird thing. But this guy did, and I was like, okay. I mean, they're all there. They all exist. Um, but how did that guy get to it? That's a journey that I would like to go on with him. Like he logged into YouTube one day and it showed him my video from September. That's what October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's like 7 months ago. So I don't know. It's weird. Um, the YouTube is weird. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody. Have a good day. Goodbye.